interesting to sort of look at actually what is happening. So I said the pull of the polar neck, but let's just analyze that more. So room 1, early labor, has got you to a point where your cervix is all give. It's like, it's just chewing gum. It's literally, in fact, it's, somebody said it's your lips, you know, it's gone from firmness to, so it's like that. But here's the most important people don't understand. They so understand cervical dilation as a hole opening up like this. Whole, nightmare to imagine it like that. Effortful, counterintuitive, just feels so hard work, right? It's nothing to do with that. It's the baby's weight as you process towards that tipping point, that key point, that threshold, that doorway. You've got hand in glove, you've got baby now weighing so heavily, like we said in the first one, on what is now an incredibly yielding thing, a givey, yielding, thin, stretchy, and it gets almost, I mean, I don't know whether you experience it, but when I hear what people have been told by, you know, in midwife meetings or at sessions, it gets mentioned like a sort of, you know, like as if it gets lost, you know, that, oh yeah, you know, that's your baby, you know, you know, how does it get described? It's almost as if it's slightly irrelevant. What an amazing thing to imagine that and understand that your baby's sheer weight, right, creates this beautiful cyclical virtuous circle. So thin, stretchy cervix, heavy, heavy baby. Heavy baby, that pressure ups the hormone, which causes the contraction, which drives it down. As it drives down, it stretches more. As it stretches more, it drives down. As it drives down, it stretches more. As it, sorry to be, you know, you've got this, right? And as well as the weight and the mechanics of this give, see there, like that give and the baby coming through. The more that builds, I hope I don't scare people when I say it's a car on a hill with the handbrake off, you know, but because I don't mean it's like running away with you, you know, it's just downhill motion. It's like, you know,
it's taking over, isn't it? It's gonna go.
Yeah, there's just and shove, and that's how it feels. It feels urgent, it feels decisive, it feels propulsive, it feels conductive, da-da-dum, like that. And here's the most amazing thing, of course, is that that's the metric, that's the metronome, is that once the baby has found its way, it's found its rhythm, you have the contractions reach pitch point. They are absolutely like a machine. Now, here's the bit that's so rarely analysed. I think in hypnobirthing they analyse this very well. But as the oxytocin reaches pitch point, as the baby's motion, downward motion, reaches max flow, as the cervix gives way, all of that's happening at once in this beautiful symphony. What's the thing that tops it? Endorphins go through the roof. So you have this amazing circuit board. So that's also why people don't struggle so much in labour, because you are now being fed back this amazing
natural pain relief.
Natural pain. Now, I think a lot of people imagine there's no pain. I don't think that's entirely true. There's still incredibly immense extreme sensation, but in the rest, after you've done the work, and you do go, oh, there's another one, oh, blah blah blah. I thought it'd be quite interesting to make the noise actually in a minute, but anyway. But then as you come back down to the rest, you are soggy with this, you are sedated with this deep this endocrinal gift, you know, of opiates that are, you don't give a crap, you know, you're just absolutely, I've seen women, I remember a woman saying to me, I feel like I'm in Thailand. you know, like she was like on some, she was like, you know, how many people have we seen in birth pools, just floppy, like, you know, yeah, they're just flowing. And they love the tiniest trickle of water down their back, or they love the cold, or, you know, the feeling of an orange segment as it explodes in their mouth or something like that. These things, they're so highly sensitive instruments, so they really soothe them now. And I think the reason they're getting a heightened experience of a clementine exploding in their mouth is because they're in the neurologically, receptors have opened up in their brain. That's basically like a kind of massive high. I mean, you are effectively in a, I mean, I'm not a neurologist, but I think if they were to shine a really deep light on what women look, they have done it, haven't they? I mean, women are in another place in that sense. So that's also what's supporting this deep flow. So it's such a shame that this is the bit women are maybe a bit cautious or even fearful of. Oh, but the pain, you know, the pain it's irrelevant, because now your body lifts you up and over, you know, your body takes you through it. But this is what, so we're doing this closer look, won't we? So that's anatomically. We've also just discussed emotionally and neurologically. Yeah, there's a sort of sense that you are able to cope now because of this, and because anatomically and mechanically your body is now on max thrust. You know, it's fully powered. You are rewarded, gifted by your body with an endocrinal thing, a sort of circle. You know, you're basically getting what you need. Yeah. And that puts you into a good emotional state that means you can cope. So it's this beautiful dance, when people call it a dance, where it all syncs. But so I think that we've probably covered, like, what does it feel like. Let's just do a few more like we did first time, because although we're all about how it feels, it is useful for partners to know how this looks, and also a few other sort of bits to it. So I maybe you could add in, but my first thing is to say, because you're on full steam ahead, a good marker of strong room 2 labour is you start stripping off clothes. You get this great heat, and it's not a sweaty heat, like it's a furnace. It's this machinery that we're talking about. And when we're at home I mean, occasionally some women do feel chilly to the end, but most people will end up going for a bath or a shower for relief, and then they don't want to get redressed, and they would not be getting under a duvet. I've occasionally seen it, and that's other reasons. That can be positional and stuff, but in full, I'm approaching my you know, that you're sort of sick. I mean, I hate the numbers, but like if you were to really look at it, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, you're really opening now. Your body's working so hard, and the response is the blood, you know, you're hot. Yeah. So that's one. So what else? Read it.
That kind of around the shedding moment, I don't know. I always think this every single birth I've ever attended. I think how stunning the women are, and I don't mean that in a, like, you know, a look sense. I mean it in this, like, energy and aura and power, and they're like, they've never been so free. I think there's a freeness with shedding all that bullshit we carry as women, like you say, worrying about how you look when you're having sex. It's gone. It's all just gone, and you're just with your body and your baby, and there is a glow, and maybe that's the heat and the endorphins and the oxytocin, but
I think it's more than a glow. I think it's a glitter. I think you glitter, like it's like this. You're like, because eyes glitter and skin got this sheen on it. Yeah. And you know, the skin here on the breasts and on, it's like everything's just you know, goddess stuff.
Like you're saying, like electric, and it is the goddess. It is incredible. It is. I mean, we're so lucky as doulas to witness that all the time, because it is beautiful. And I always think, if you could see that, every woman would want to birth. You know, every woman would want the experience, because it is an experience to be had. And it doesn't matter about the pain. It doesn't matter. You know, it's not something, not a pain in a scary pain. That is irrelevant. You would not want to miss out. Do you know what I mean? You want to go through this. You want to glitter. You know, it's like,
do you remember In the Business of Being Born, that great film by Ricky?
Yes. Yeah.
And she says, it's like going to the moon and back. And if we have to debate the relative merits of that, where are we as a society? You know, it's literally going to the moon. And what is there to debate? You know, don't be fearful. It's a privilege and an honor. And in fact, actually, there was a woman years ago who said to me quietly, we're just driving home from a group that we'd gone to, and she very quietly had her hands in the lap, and she looked down and she said, you know, I really feel like it's a privilege, this. I feel really like I'm so lucky, you know, that I've got this chance to do this. And it was no surprise to me that she had this very, you know, it's very simple birth, and because she just didn't, she just, yeah, she really owned that and inhabited that, and just, yeah, I don't mean we should be grateful, but we should know our own power, because it's just,
and enjoy those feelings, those deep, intense feelings of having your baby. You know, it is incredible if we can get in that mindset and not kind of, you know, obsess about contractions and pain and timings. And if you can get in that mindset of just the beauty.
I mean, let's analyse, actually. There's something we weren't going to discuss, but it's worth throwing in given what you've just said, that sometimes I hear a lot of people get taught about transition, and there's a very old-fashioned way that's taught, which is, right, I'm going to just do it, right? There's this moment in labour, okay, and it's, you know, you're really getting there, you're really towards the end, they say, but it's transitional point where you will feel strangely, you might feel frightened for a moment, you might want to give up, it feels all a bit overwhelming, and it can sound a bit negative, right? And there's two things I want to say about that, which is why I never teach it. Is one, that fear that you see women going through, is it fear, or is it they have reached a pitch point, there's no denying it, and the contractions are coming all the time, thick and fast, true. But when she says, I can't do it, you don't understand, there's a moment, she doesn't even know she's saying that. And Liliana, my doula, taught me that if you don't say anything, the test is, she's not looking for an answer, she's not looking why. If you then jump in at the moment, if you're in at that moment, you hear it quite a bit sometimes in birth rooms, possibly when carers or midwives or even partners who haven't experienced that feeling often go, don't worry, it's fine, you're doing fine. And I understand it. I understand why it's taught as something to watch out for, but all this does is it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. The mother is passing through that unknowingly. It's physiology, it's involuntary. What's happened is she's reached her absolute apex of and there is a moment at that point when the baby's deep in the bottom and is about to start pressing down and through, where she does feel a bit like, I suppose, you just don't want to break it down because she passes through it. It's inevitable. It's irrelevant because it's inevitable. So I'm not even sure it's worth explaining it as a conscious, there's a fearful moment, or because people get quite worried about it, I think. But it's like it's not fear like that. It's a physiological depth that Michelle O'Donnell says it is the transcendent moment. You explode into the universe effectively. You're basically at that point, Harry Potter style, life just courses through you and your body goes, yes, and then this baby starts coming. And so you have to go over the top, yes, but is it a fear? It may sound like that to us in words because the mother says, I don't want a baby anymore, I hate you, or whatever. She might say funny things, but it's
that moment we talked about, didn't we, where you face yourself, you turn in that moment and you're like, I can't do it, and you're like, you can, but you're waiting for your own reassurance. That's a powerful moment. You're reassuring yourself. I can remember it so vividly with Mabel. I had to regather myself, and I remember kind of going, fuck, in the moment. And then no one spoke to me. I regathered myself. And then I just remember her coming and I remember really vividly white light. My eyes were closed, but I remember really vividly just this, maybe this is too much for some people, but I remember it, just a burst of white light as her head came out. And because it is so powerful. I mean, you were bringing human life. We're going off on one a bit because I'm really feeling this room too. It's such a powerful state. It's so incredible. But I think something we probably need to go back over a bit is we were going to talk about the key, and you were going to break down that kind of, so how do we keep, if you get into room 1 to room 2 at home, how do you stay in room 2 as you move through to hospital? So I think we should talk about that. But in terms of, we were talking earlier about, I was drawing little keys on my note paper. sort of room 1 to room 2 and thinking,
show your picture.
oh, what, that one, that was my simple one to show a kind of different trajectory of like a linear labour, and then thinking room 1 and then sparkly room, glittery room 2. But this is my note paper. This is my terrible key. My terrible key that Mabel said it looked like a donkey. But I was thinking, and I wrote around the key. I wrote safety, privacy, love. They are, you know, what gets you from that normality and ease and kind of things are happening, but maybe not, into room 2. And it's all the things that, you know, we talk about as doulas, and actually that is where hypnobirthing is good, because they talk a lot about feeling unobserved, feeling safe, not being, you know, disturbed or distracted, lots of oxytocin. And, you know, that's what's gonna unlock that door. But if you want to sort of...
Yes, so to go into, let's picture that. When I do this with mothers, I literally slow it right down to picture it. So let's imagine you are starting to feel this acceleration, this intensification. Let's picture it.
Yeah.
By now, you've probably moved to a quieter, darker, more private space in the house. You're unlikely to be still lying on the sofa with the telly in the background. That's not going to be happening. You would have just found yourself, you know, maybe having a shower, certainly probably in the bedroom. And why you have found yourself there is because that those deep drivers have taken over, and your body's told you to take yourself to a private space. It's told you, it's like we were saying in the first one about hunger, and it's a signal from your body to seek out protection. Let's go through that. So you'll be feeling more heat, more rhythm. You are now almost inevitably, very rarely I hear women will be now making a much more, I thought I'd make the noise actually. I was practicing it last night in the car, and so
I love
like
the noises. Do a noise.
So I was thinking that it's not that when you know women are still, they've got strong contractions, but then that they're maybe real money, is they're a little bit readier. And by the way, this isn't a judgment of it. I always think it sounds like this isn't about you need to get to the stronger stuff. It's that your body's only responding as necessary. So earlier ones are more like, you know, it's that, right? But labor sounds are much more like here. It's why can you hear the bottom of me? It's because I've literally, it's coming from a heavier space. Like my body is starting to do this. The reason it's doing this is because the baby's doing this. So you're spreading, right? So what is labor? Labor is, as we said, the baby sinking. As it starts to fill the pelvis, there is almighty pressure starting to build, first at the front, round to the hips, then into your lower back, and eventually into your rectum, your bottom. You feel it there. That even passes actually as it comes down and round, and you start to feel expulsive. So it's a process of filling up and deepening in depth. And when we say your body, you know, it plays your body like an instrument. I was at a birth a couple of weeks ago where the vibration at the end was almost like surround sound. That's how powerful her that. I mean, I know you might sound weird. I have to do it because I want to show people that. I hope that doesn't sound scary to people. It just does it on its own. It's an immensely amazing, securing feeling because it's doing it by itself. So you've gone to your bedroom and you are now probably needing much more release through the voice. It's just going to happen. You will also find yourself in positions that you didn't decide on. You aren't now consciously arranging yourself on the birth ball like this and bouncing. You are now just sort of flung on your bed, just rising and falling with the surges. You might be, you know, holding your husband's hand, partner's hand, doula's hand, and, you know, or hanging off the headboard of your bed, or knees are on the floor, leaning on the bed. But you didn't put yourself there because you thought that was a good position. You have just, your body's just doing it. So you've got the positions, you've got the noise, you've got the heat, you've got the growing pressure. and the intense rhythm. Now, as you can hear, this is why most of the problem with hospital is that if people knew that's how deep it was, I think, and that's the beginning of, you know, active labour, room 2. I think people underestimate what labour is. So what they do is they go to hospital quite way shy of all this, because nobody would dream that the hospital meant you to go in at this point. And also nobody equips you of how to, you know, because if you are in this deep flow state, you're going to need to really think about how, we just said, how to keep that going, how to keep it protected, how not to put the brake on it or disturb it. So this is where these videos with these films, we're trying to show you how, if you are going to have your baby in hospital for whichever reason, it is absolutely vital that you have the stuff ready.